Here we go. All right. Good morning, everybody. It's your boy D Mac. Let's talk. All right. So I've been trying to get this together for a while, and it seems to be working a little bit better. I don't know if I'm going to keep this green screen. I might go back to my old screen, but this will work for now. So what I want to talk about this morning is the Olympics because we have one more episode going on now in the Olympics, and it needs to be discussed. Like I said, I was boycotting the Olympics, so I'm not going to watch it, but I do pick up on certain stories to support what I've been saying about the Olympics thus far. And so I just keep you guys updated on what I see in the Olympics and why I say America should have pulled out. But this is an incident that doesn't have anything to do with an American team. It actually has a lot to do with French and Great Britain. It was a boxing match. It was a super heavyweight match. The French boxer Mourad Aliev versus Great Britain's Frazer Clarke. And so in this match, there was a few headbutts done by Mourad Aliev, and it caused cuts over the eyes of Frazer Clarke. So the referee did what anybody's supposed to do. You disqualify that person when you see that they're intentionally doing this. And the referee determined that Mourad Aliev was doing this intentionally, and so he disqualified him. And don't you know that this boxer, this so-called professional, just had a tantrum. He exploded around the ring, walked around the ring. He punched the screen of the camera that was pointed at him. Then they said he sat in the ring for over an hour in protest of his disqualification. This is something that he could have done outside of the ring. There's policy and procedures that comes with something like this happening. If you have an issue with what took place, you can appeal it, and there's a proper way to go about it. But having a tantrum in the ring and sitting in the ring as if somebody's really going to care, that absolutely is poor sportsmanship. And this is what we're seeing a lot in the this is a lot of what we're seeing in the Olympics. And this is something that we have to address because this is a person issue. This is people having behavioral problems and they are not handling something well. So we have to see what we can do to really address mental health issues with these Olympic athletes because we have a lot of people who can't handle the pressure. They're falling to the wayside because they've had so much on their plate and they haven't properly dealt with their issues. They just stuffed it to the back and they just continue to move on. They tried to do it as long as they could, but now it's come to a point to where it's really affecting their performance. So what is the answer to this? Like I said, I like to be solution oriented. So what does the Olympics need to do more of as far as these athletes having their mental health examined and evaluated on more of a regular basis? Because these people are going through some rough things, man, and these commissions don't know, and they'll just go by a across the board policy that they have, but that policy does not accommodate every single athlete that they have in their program. And so they have to understand that they have some individual basis on which they need to make some rule changes because these people really need to be in a good state of mental health to perform at the top of their game. That's understood. We always say it all the time. It's 95% physical. I mean, it's 5% physical and 95% mental, if that's the measurement you want to use. But that's what's being issued out to anybody who's trying to push themselves in a physical and standpoint like that. I remember in the military, it was mostly mental because I hated running. But once I got used to running and once I started to learn how to properly breathe as I ran, and once I was able to cover more ground before I started getting tired, then my confidence level built up. And so it was all mental. Well, it wasn't all mental, but it was a majority mental. The physical part wasn't anything. is the mental part of getting it in your mind that this is something that you have to do and something that is going to benefit you. And that's what it took. And I became a pretty decent runner during the time I needed to be. And so, with that concept being in mind, we have to make sure that these athletes are in top mental shape in order to be able to compete. That's why you see the teams breaking down like they do. Their mental state is tired. They've been through a hardship. This whole, and I hate going back to the pandemic, but that's what it really comes down to. A lot of this stress, a lot of the changes that people go through in life causes stress. Okay. And so when these people have to go through all of these different changes during their season and still expected to compete at a high level, they may have lost someone to this. They may have had some business things go under because of the pandemic. There's so many things that are tied into this variable, as well as just personal life things. And so when we put all of these things into consideration, we look at ourselves and the things that we deal with and how we feel about it. So apply that same empathy and sympathy towards these athletes because they're people too. And we forget that sometimes because we want them to entertain us, but they're not toys, they're not robots. And so they have to have maintained their mental as well. And so this is something that I feel is very necessary in the time that we live in this whole social media society that we're pushing and that's becoming part of our infrastructure. We definitely need to make sure that people's mental health is intact, especially if they're in performance, because that's going to lessen the experience. That's going to just put a damper on the whole entire entertainment industry. And we're starting to see that as is with all of the things that's been going on. I remember when what was his name? Zab Judah had a fight against Mayweather, and there was some bad blood between both of them. And there was some shots to the groin that was thrown on both sides. And but Zab Judah got mad because he felt like Mayweather was trying to do it on purpose, and so he intentionally hit Mayweather. And then Mayweather's family jumped over in the ring, and then Zab Judah's team jumped in, and it became a big crazy issue. And so in the end, the ref, I believe it was Jay Nady, he disqualified Zab Judah because Zab Judah initiated the whole thing. And so when he did that, it totally made Zab Judah go off the hinges. And Zab came up and he put his glove in Jay Nady's face and, you know, tried to get to him basically. And that was the last time I saw something of that magnitude in boxing. But this right here was embarrassing because it was just, it's the same thing that I said about Deontay Wilder that I didn't like. If you lose, then accept your loss, go back, do what you need to do, come back and redeem yourself. That's what made great champions. It wasn't the fact that you lost the fight. It was how you recovered and how you came back and you regained your title and you regained that respect. But these guys nowadays, once they've been embarrassed or once they've been beaten, they don't have the resilience to come back and redeem themselves. It seems like from there, they just go downhill. And this is a mental thing. This is a personal thing that, you know, is missing in all sports right now. You see all of the whining and all of the crying, not only from the players, but from the analysts as well. You know, you have the ball boys and they're doing their thing. Salute to the ball boys. I always gonna give a salute to that family. And but yet and still they have all of these people questioning every single one of them that's coming to the league. They've been questioned by the analysts and the sports sports minds, I should say. But they've gone on to do their thing. And I'll just put this message out here. Don't listen to these analysts and guys who are trying to project their level of expertise or their level of greatness onto you. You operate and play in your game and play in your zone. because a lot of people are breaking to the pressure of trying to live up to the expectations of the analysts. Okay, all of these analytics and stuff and these numbers that you guys are breaking your neck and really worrying, staying up late at night, worrying about, it's not worth your mental health. So I'll just encourage everybody, make sure you stay on top of your mental health issues because it is always going to bleed out on the surface. You can only hold it down for so long. And once it comes out, it's going to come out like a thunderstorm. And that's all I have to say about that. Um, we'll continue to see what's going on as far as these situations in the Olympics as it goes along. I won't be watching, but I will be picking up on stories such as these to just highlight the mental health issues that are being ignored in the Olympics because this is a real big issue. There's a whole lot of things that are going on, and there's a whole lot more stories that's taking place. And now that I finally got this computer halfway working right, I'm going to be on top of it all this week. And so I'll be covering other things as far as sports because we still do have the WNBA that I said I'm going to start getting on top of, and I'm staying to my word. But we have NFL football is starting soon as well, so there's a lot of coverage that's going to be done on here, especially for me about the Washington football team because everybody know that's my squad. So I'm gonna definitely be staying up on football as well. So WNBA, football, and boxing, those are gonna be my main sports topics, or whatever's going down in the Olympics as far as controversy and mistreatment. So I appreciate you for tuning in. This is your boy D Mac, and I'll be back with you later on. And you know what I always say, sticks and stones can break your bones, but the word can always heal you. I'm out.